What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 winner of the Best Podcast News Award given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and I also won one in 2018 for Innovation Award given out by the same organization. And once a month, I host the only online broadcast in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care, and also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Broadcasting live on January 23rd, and I think for some people, the best part of their week is going to happen in this next little bit of conversation. I know for myself and two other ladies, it's one of the highlights of our week. It's Staggers State of Things with Aisha K. Staggers, Jill D. Jones. And I asked them before we went on live, how has life been post 45? And it seemed that they were very relaxed. So let's bring them on in hopefully a little bit more relaxed state. Welcome, Aisha. Welcome, Jill. How we doing?
Good. Notice the smiles. So true. So true.
And welcome everyone who's watching this live. We always appreciate you coming on because most of the time we're on a Thursday, but today we're on a Saturday and you're still here with us. So we appreciate that and we don't take it for granted. Ladies, other than the stuff we're going to be chopping it up about tonight, how's life otherwise? Okay?
Good. The stress. True.
It's, you know, like I haven't seen Aisha in hot pink in a while, so that tells me things have changed. Because I don't think if it was still the current administration, she'd be wearing the hot pink.
No, it's not a hot pink black. Time. Yeah.
Well, it's always great to have both of you back. So let's get right into it. Inauguration. Okay. It went off without a hitch.
Fantastic. It was just great. It was a relief, and I think it was so well done, considering we're in COVID, and just everything was so thoughtful and tasteful, and just really put the focus on the American people and how to get the psyche back into who we are. It was kind of nice to see this reflection of good examples of it, because I think we needed reminders of some of the amazing things people really have been doing throughout the year, as opposed to the horrors that have been going on. It was really nice to see the spirit of people being at its highest bar. For me, that's what my takeaway was. It was the highest bar of who we are as Americans.
Yeah, I thought it was like, it was just refreshing. It was like the country was back, and we had our quorum back. We had our spirit back. It was like this. It was kind of like, you know, after, like, I'm a big fan of The Wiz. After Eveline is like destroyed and flushed down that big thing that looks like a toilet, and it's like a brand new day, and everybody starts unpeeling off all the
totally.
You know, the workers start coming out. That's just what it felt like. And it was just like, you know, this whole, and we can like stop talking about him as who he was and start to talk about him as something that was just this learning process that we had to go through. This entity that just kind of hung over us for a bit, and that there was a reason behind it, and that thankfully behind it was like the darkness, then there was this wash of rain and light and brightness that came through, and that day was nothing but the best of America.
Yeah, it was. It's like, it goes back to that saying that what you focus on will control you. Trump had a situation where he wanted complete, utter devotion, attention span, everything. He was very invasive in everyone's life, just as a human being. He's all of that took its toll. And I think for a minute, it was just great to be able to have a breather and to really focus on looking at people again. It wasn't him. It wasn't all of his minions either. I think it's going to take a minute to get us all up to speed, because I feel like Joe Biden, President Biden, has shifted it so much on a dime that the media started immediately the next day trying to, what is he going to do? Even at the end of the day, well, what's been done? And the old habits started to come back. And I think that the clever thing is President Biden has lined himself up with such wonderful representations of intelligence, expertise, all of this, that I don't think the same okey doke nonsense is going to fly. And I don't think that will be the attention of the kabuki theater that we had. That's what's happened. And I think that, Fox is, started to be petty about, he didn't have a mask on at 10 o'clock. I mean, those are really petty things and pretty pathetic, but it's quite revealing that they were left in the lurch. Their old things are not really working. And if we continue this pace, bombarding people with truth, then perhaps it'll start to sink in that this is the new reality and we're here. I mean, that's my take.
One of the things that I liked about the inauguration is that there was an informality about this formal event that was kind of like it welcomed everybody. And I really enjoyed that. It's like even Bernie's gloves, it made it
okay, let's a whole I was waiting to see who would bring Bernie is a pop star. Like
totally.
Like Jill, I saw in some of I saw the one you did with Prince, classic. That's landmark. That was landmark. But no, man,
my favorite one was the one where I can't remember who she is on Twitter, but her said this was on Bernie's to-do list for today, but it's not his whole day.
Exactly. Stop off and see Joe's thing, which was really fun. Like, Joe's thing.
Like
Bernie's
and go to the post office.
Yeah, Bernie's a pop star, man. He's a pop icon.
Yeah, but I love the fact that he was there, and then I can't remember the event, but it was important that everybody showed up. Everybody showed up. All of the
memorial was important. That showed that they may disagree, but there's still this commonality and this solidarity for the union of this country.
And they refused. And then, even McCarthy showed up, McConnell showed up, Pence showed up, and they refused to go to Trump's thing early in the morning.
Right?
Yes, that was interesting.
That was significant, which means that, yes, they were going to go back to their regular bull later in the day, but in the morning, they at least wanted to present a united front for the cameras, at least for the country, for the good of the country. It was a good thing to see, and it was nice to see the Democratic Party in a different way, in a way that wasn't negative, and in a way that wasn't fractured.
True.
So you can see people like Bernie, the progressive end, like Bernie, come in and be like, I'm here, I'm here, and I am as I am, and I'm accepted as I am. And then, George W. Bush will find Michelle Obama wherever.
Oh Lord,
because I'm
telling you,
from the moment he walked in,
if Barack wasn't the man he was, I say, Barack, you got to watch out. You better watch you.
So true.
Because let me tell you, George W. Bush had his suit laid out. He had his piece of candy on the nightstand. He used extra cologne. He picked out his special mask that made his eyes glimmer. He locked eyes on her. And followed her, had eyes on her everywhere she went. She made a move, he made a move to keep her in his eyesight. My sisters and I were cracking up at that. We're like, look at him.
He's great. Well, I think there's a humanness.
Michelle did look very good in the purple, though.
Oh, she was beautiful. That hair. Oh my
She,
God. I found out who
I
did her
know,
hair.
I
I
know.
found out who
Oh,
did her hair.
yeah, I follow the girl now.
Me too.
Starts with a Y, her name. I
Yes.
think it's amazing. I love that. When I saw an interview with Bernie about this, I think he was on Seth,
Seth
that
Meyers.
show, yeah,
Myers,
Seth
Seth
Meyers
Myers.
show. And he said that when he was listening to Joe's speech, it brought tears to his eyes. And the speech was killer because it just was everything. It was like the balm that you need on a wound. It was exactly what you needed. It wasn't, and the performances, what I loved is that they weren't performing. They were coming to a podium and singing, which was really interesting. And none of that, it was very informal in its own way. It had a real, like, stripped down. Even the memorial the day before was so touching. And when you saw the lights go on for 400,000 people and rising, the lights go on, you'd have to be inhuman not to be choked up by that, because this has gotten so little attention and so been so disrespected, their lives. For me, that was kicking off this inauguration. I knew it was going to be dealing with all the squishy parts, the parts that make us human and collectively one.
Yeah. And finally having the leader of the country finally addressing
Acknowledge it.
and acknowledging it before he was even sworn in, and
It's
saying
true.
it's about time it's done.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that he and Kamala both gave just beautiful speeches and introduced
Yeah,
beautiful songs. I
they did.
mean, the songs were beautiful.
Yeah.
What significance is it, if any at all, that 45 was not there, but Pence was there?
It's a break of, I think you're going to see a significant break between at least the people that joined the Trump coalition because of Pence. Remember, Pence brought the evangelicals, so I think that he'll be able to pluck off some of the more sensible ones.
Do you really think that, though? Because the polls still show that 45's got his core.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I think that there are going to be some that are more sensible, but I think
Right.
this is the other thing too. Here's the other reason too that it's significant. Trump tried to kill him.
I know.
Point
He
blank.
did.
He may have stopped short of calling the 25th, knowing that there were just a few days, and that was probably his way of reconciling it in his head. But the bottom line is Trump tried to kill him.
Yeah, and I think that as I spoke about before, the 2/3 of the people in the party who tend to vote based upon their wallets and their stocks and all of that, those people are the ones that need to see the barometer go back the other way, because even Trump had pushed them to the mark of, like, I can't be a Republican. They have to do something with the party. But Pence also showed up because he has to think about his career. But it was brave of him to show up, to be honest with you, with those maniacs out there who still could quite possibly be a danger to him and his family. I mean, and whatever I feel for him personally, I don't want to see anything like that be an issue for his life or going forward. I think that's that he may have taken it as, God has him in this position and he has to be strong on that. So I think that was quite brave of him to do that. I also think that Trump could never be in groups of people that have an energy like that. It's sort of like, it just sort of repels anybody who comes into the group. I don't think he could function in that kind of capacity. And you really do see not only what an outlier and an outsider he is, but what an self-imposed outcast. I mean, he never wanted that. He wants to be a dictator. He wants that. You can see it's very different, and he has no love for the country, because whether Aisha and I agree on certain facts, there's still a common thread of love for this show and what we do. And Trump's not a team player at all. Never was. Never, he's like the kid that you have and you're like going, oh my God, is he going to kill my other kids? A parent knows there's something wrong with him.
Right.
And hopefully it'll come out in the wash, but he could not handle a situation. Energy like that does not flock to the light when they're pure darkness. It almost burns them, like the witch in the Wizard of Oz.
And that was evident, I think, in the speech that he gave early before the inauguration and his like goodbye thing.
Yes.
Because I didn't see the whole thing. I was like, I left the TV on overnight and as I was trying to get some rest. And so I was in and out and I was like hearing him like, what is he saying? And why am I hearing Donald Trump on inauguration day? I'm trying to keep my brain clear, but I kept hearing things that he was saying. Right. And the things that he was saying, and it was obvious he didn't care. And I woke up toward the end when he told people to have a good life. That's what he was doing. Yeah. It was like, kiss off. I'm done with you. You served your purpose and then you didn't do what I wanted. I wanted you to make me king again. And now that you didn't, I have no use with you. There's no purpose. Be gone.
I think his wife sealed it for me because when she got off of that plane in Miami or Palm Beach, she had on a new outfit that I'm sure he couldn't stand.
I think that was a fake Melania by then.
And when she walked away from it, it was like everything with him is transactional. It just is. And everybody knows that when you do a transaction with Trump, you don't get paid. You don't get what you want. But anyway, it looked like as soon as they touched down, she was like, deal done. I'm done. I'm not standing here with you to do photo ops, none of that. It's done. We're finished with this. And that was kind of interesting because it's over. And I don't think that he will be running again. I know we're planning on impeaching him, but I don't really believe he's going to be able to run. I just don't think the universe is going to support that.
I don't think he really wants to run again because for the simple fact that he knows what the job is. He never wanted to do the job. He just wanted the title. He wants to feel like a king because when you sit and think about it, his interpretation of
he didn't
being
do anything.
President, exactly.
He didn't work.
His idea of being president going in was like being president of his companies, where he had the title, he got to tell people what to do, and other people did the work. And when he got there, he didn't realize that he was confined by all these laws. Where like in his companies, he was confined by nothing. And so it was very eye-opening for him to go into this. Government work, being a civil servant, is too confining for him. He can't do what he wants to do without being held accountable. There's too much accountability in it for him. So I don't see him running for any other office at this point. And especially not now, because now that there's somebody else in the president's seat, they're finding out too much stuff that he did for him to ever run for presidency again.
They have, and they're going to find out much more. And I think as soon as, particularly one of the really touching things that Biden did delve into was finding the parents and reuniting the children from the border with their parents. And as much as I'm so thrilled about it, I'm really anticipating, I really only want happiness, but I think we're going to really find out some horrific things. And the reason I think that is because I think the reason they're defending and not wanting the Homeland Security guy that he wants to put in, because I think that there's some real dark stuff down there. And I still think the Republicans want to get rid of that information. I think that we will, I hope it's not heartbreaking about what happened to those children. In itself, it's horrific.
Yeah.
But
and I think when you go down that rabbit hole too, a lot of them made money on that particular
I do too. I think they actually trafficked children and I think they sold them. And God help us all that, you know, they find them intact and safe and that we can help them. But I think something really bad happened. And You just don't go missing. And that was too easy of a response that we don't know where they are.
And
Well,
the numbers are in my opinion, the numbers are too low. 7,500 children, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, just 300. No.
I don't believe it.
Real dang
And
good
they're-
thing here. 45 like to talk the talk, but never walk the walk.
Mhm.
I know.
He also says he won't make it to 2024. SDNY is going to get him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
SDNY
will.
is going to get him, but the state of New York is going to get him first. I think Tish James is she's sitting there.
I'm not. The only person I hear saying that name is Aisha K. Staggers. I don't even hear Tish James talk. Aisha, are you her PR manager?
Hmm?
Are you Tish James' PR manager?
I'm not the only one. There are other people that are rallying behind Tish James. They know.
You know something. You're not saying anything, but you must know something because you just once in a while just drop that name. Da, da, da.
Look, she got them to pass a law in the state of New York that allowed
I think
her
she's
to go
just
through all this
incredibly
stuff.
strategic. I think that
Yeah.
she's waiting
Yes,
to
very.
see how the impeachment is playing out. But
Yep.
that's why I don't think he'll be running again. And I don't think the universe will permit it, because I don't know how much of this shoveling, of getting hit over the head with a shovel every 6 months, he's going to be able to handle that. I personally just don't see how a 70-something-year-old man is going to take what is about to come for him.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. You've got his personal stuff, his banks, and she might want to wait till some of the stuff where he's drained and depleted and other things are out there and he can't get the help that he always seeks. Lindsey Graham had to get him Lindsey Graham had to get an attorney to handle the new impeachment thing that's coming up. I mean, nobody wanted to represent him.
Well, this is another thing too, because they're pushing, the Republicans are pushing back the dates because no one wants to lawyer him.
Why? You don't get paid. I mean, now he is a citizen, a regular Joe.
Yeah, he
he's
can't
a regular
use the White House
person.
money anymore.
No.
He
And you know what?
a pro bono attorney, okay?
All of these stories that they had about Joe talking about, they're trying to do the Hunter Biden thing. Lindsey Graham should be, I don't even want to say what should happen to him, but he is not anybody's friend. He wasn't John McCain's friend. He wasn't Joe Biden's friend, as he touted. He's a little freaking user. And to be honest with you, the fact that he knew that when President Biden's son got the glioblastoma, that he needed a loan. He was trying to pay for all of this stuff for his son. Would a man who had $1 billion be asking friends for money, to the point where Barack Obama offered to him to do it because President Biden was about to mortgage his house? I mean, what don't people get? These are people who, if anybody who's pretty upstanding, I do think that Biden has always been. He's not showy. He's not flashy. He's not gauche.
Yeah.
They want to talk about, like, New York Times came out with their crap. And here, for people out there, what I've soon discovered is these stories about the Rolex and all that stuff, don't even click on them anymore. These are ditch efforts to get bait. It's like a New York Times form of clickbait. We got to stop that. I've had family members pass down Rolex watches. Someone was fortunate enough to have something and they pass it down and it's of value. Come on, let's just stop it. As opposed to what Trump was doing. We really have to stop this, going for everybody for this media thing. The media needs to be held accountable really desperately. And they are, actually. They will be. Google, Facebook are getting ready to get busted up by the commissions because they're acting more as publishing companies. They're not really, the way they're presenting themselves as content, and the abuse and misuse of it, and they're being publishing companies. And when there's anything that is moving into the infrastructure of our nation, they did this with the railroads as well. It cannot have a monopoly. There's no company can be a monopoly. That goes for Amazon as well. and Europe and all across, and after what just happened on TikTok with the little girl who strangled herself to death online for everybody to see, and Italy shut that down quickly. There are going to be regulations, and I get it. We want free speech and all of that, but we've gotten to the point where our masses of people are actually hurting themselves and doing bizarre things, to animals, to people, to get followers, to do. Joe Biden is only part of the fabric that has been moving in that direction globally. Globally, it's a problem. All of this nonsense that we've had from the Republican Party, it's going to be contained. And one of them, my mission this year, is to have Fox News must be regulated. It's garbage.
Well, Birdie Lynn TV, a member of the Jill fan club, is loving what you're sharing. And we're going to move on to the next conversation piece. So what do we think about Joe Biden so far? And I guess we'll tag on that and filibusters. Well, and so what do we think of Joe Biden so far? And actually, there's an article here that I found quite interesting. I'm going to put up on the screen that's I think reads best to what's been going on.
If anybody thinks that the executive orders are too much, it's like it should have been expected, if you're on the other side, that a Democratic president was going to come in and undo all of the things that Trump did by executive order. For example, the Muslim ban, the
pipeline,
the pipeline, all of those things. But he also did 10 executive orders that were directed at taming the COVID. He did executive orders on DACA. He did an executive order on finding those families and mending those families back together. So he did a lot of things by executive order. He also looked at this, sized up the stimulus by executive order as well. He's trying to get us back to a sense of normalcy within his first year of the presidency, and at least back to some semblance of normalcy. And what he's running into right now is some form of opposition. And for some reason, Mitch McConnell hasn't gotten it into his head yet that he is no longer the Senate majority leader.
He won't even change his name on Twitter, girl.
He won't, and he's forgotten that. So he's trying to make deals with Chuck Schumer, as if Schumer hasn't been wanting this job all his life. Okay, Chuck Schumer's like, I am in the speaker seat. I'm in the no. And so at this point, and there's not going to be any choice but to end the filibuster, because this 60 vote thing is not going to work. Okay, Biden is trying to do the noble thing and reach across the aisle and get bipartisanship, but he's also of the mindset that, hey, time is limited. Mm-hmm. This COVID thing is getting out of hand.
Right.
If we can't get bipartisanship by, this time frame, we're going to have to end the filibuster and just drive it through ourselves by sheer majority. And Kamala's going to have to, be that 51st vote on a lot of things.
So true.
That's why they're having a meeting tomorrow of 8 Republicans and 7 Democrats to see if they can get that bipartisanship. If they can't get that tomorrow, they know there's going to be no hope. And their only prayer is that they can get at least one Republican, because Joe Manchin is unreliable.
Yeah, Joe Manchin really is a Republican deep down who just needed to run as a Democrat in his region. And we need to get rid of him because he's a wild card and we never really know who's gotten to him. I think that I get it. They just passed a $900 billion stimulus, right? That's what we just had. But it really wasn't enough, because also judging by how the vaccines have been distributed, They haven't been. Imagine that 900 billion, because by the time they get down to what the devil in the details are, nobody's getting their money. Nobody's getting these things. I live in California, where Silicon Valley is supposed to be the creme de la creme of tech, but not one government agency has a decent freaking infrastructure for their websites. It's garbage. It's trash. And that goes across the board. And I'm in California. So imagine how, with Trump firing all of these people and all these loose loopholes there, those loopholes were established in these states so that people are making big money grabs. And, our president now they have to go through all of these things to find out where is the dumping going on, because that's what's happening. They don't want to increase. They only increase SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Program for people and food stamps, by 15%. Great. But it didn't take into account that there's 40% of people who need it. So this is how they don't care. Republicans are white supremacists, and they don't care about the American people. And I am not going to let off of it. The party needs to be gutted and dismantled. Anybody who stays in the party, in my opinion, is a white supremacist, and so are all the senators. Because if they want to quote the Bible, it says, bad associations spoil useful habits. They need to change that. They have to root out. They have to become like pigs looking for truffles in France. They need to be in the dirt, finding who is the nasty white supremacist, and they've got to get rid of them. Until the day any of them get the balls to do that is, who knows? They are so weak that they think that being cowardly and to continue supporting that BS is enough. They just want the next votes of their people. Well, the next votes of their people that they've been catering to, who knows? Who knows? They hate them all. So they're bartering on something. They're not too bright, and they're old. And, it's just, I don't know if many of you know, and this may be a little bit of a sidebar, but it's just to make my point. Today or yesterday, there's a stock called GameStop. And the owner of this company called Consign, or whatever it's called, I don't have the right name, Conspire, whatever. They basically short stocks, and they make a lot of money. Young kids figured out how to screw GameStop's stocks. They all bought 200 together, buying a large amount. They destroyed his company. He lost $1 billion. And they all did it while being on Reddit. The kids are not playing anymore. There will be whatever they think, Republicans and Democrats alike are all sticking to this tried and true road. And I get it, but there's some enterprising young people out there right now. You've got to feed people. We've had a lot of Robin Hood people on the stock market during this time playing, where Fidelity and different ones opened up channels for people to actually buy and trade stocks during this time, which isn't getting enough. This is how a lot of people have been making money for not working here, for being in a pandemic. And a lot of people didn't know about it, but my whole point is that if old stupid Mitch McConnell wants to go back to the filibuster, he's done. Mitch McConnell's done. They don't respect him in his party. They don't like him anyway. And there's somebody already all about Eving him too. And I say all about Eve, it's like coming right on him, because they're ready to replace him. And if he continues to support this that's going down, he's not going to be in it anyway in another 4 years either, because they want him done too. They'll use him for, let's keep Mitch as the leader. But with Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz being as arrogant in their way, they have basically said, F you to McConnell and Graham. That's why they're clinging so desperately. But those guys aren't going to get voted back in. I can tell you that right now.
So I don't think it's even about them getting voted back. And I think after losing this speakership this time, Mitch McConnell's done. I think he's going to. I don't think he's going to run again.
He shouldn't.
I think he's done. I think the whole Trump thing wore him down. Losing his speakership.
I'm saying young people are merging into our stuff. Yeah.
and I think seeing the party become the way it has become, I think this insurrection really did a number on him.
Yeah.
And really scared the crap out of him. He's like, I think for him, he's like, I'm too old for this.
Well, when they start focusing on his wife, Elaine, but he had the audacity. What really got to me was he had the audacity to leak. They said all the leaking about sharing of power came from
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell. And
Yeah.
it's like, dude, you are done. You have overstayed, as Nancy Wilson said, you've stayed too long at the fair. It's time to get out and go. You are done. And it's really incredibly important that the Democrats put their foot down. And, Chuck Schumer is so gracious and nice. Sometimes I'd like him to be a bit of but that's not who Chuck is. He won't do it. But he did say, this is unacceptable and this is not going to happen. And what was crazy is that Mitch McConnell gave a speech talking about how badly Chuck Schumer wanted it and that he grew up with a family who was daddy was a exterminator and his mom was a housewife. This is what Mitch McConnell does. He comes across like he's a good old boy, and he is
like
a good old
Hoover.
boy. Yes, like J.
He's
Edgar
the
Hoover.
J. Edgar Hoover of the Senate.
And he's got to go.
Yep,
he's the very reason why we haven't progressed. For 12 years, we've put up with Mitch. And didn't Barack Obama have something to do with this? He predicted this was what was going to happen and how to deal with Mitch, because
filibuster.
Yes, he did. And, the filibuster is a relic of Jim Crow. And Aisha, can you tell people how? Because a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, what they did with the filibuster has been a relic of, it's even before Jim Crow. The filibuster was one of those things that they started using when the first Black Republicans started getting elected to the Senate.
Right.
And they started using the filibuster to counter their votes because they had such power in the Senate and in the House. And then they brought it back again when during the Civil Rights era, starting probably with the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. They really started doing that then. But this is largely, it started when the Dixiecrats started moving over to the Republican Party. And so you had a lot of use of this to try and block a lot of the civil rights legislation. And just even small bills, they tried to use this a lot, particularly in state houses. This is a big practice in the state houses in the South. So when it came to making the legislation about integrating different schoolhouses and how they were going to integrate a state,
exactly,
they used that filibuster to block it. So even though you had Brown versus Board of Education that said integrate your schools, well, the schools were lagging behind and saying and using filibusters to say, oh, well, we'll do it this time and this time, so that they had to end up going right. And so that's why they had to end up going back and doing a second federal law, so that Brown, which is Brown 2, that most people don't know about, that says now you have to integrate with all deliberate speed. So the filibuster it is a relic of the Jim Crow era. And remember, they hadn't been using the filibuster until after Harry Reid left the Senate. When Harry Reid left the Senate is when they brought the filibuster in.
Right.
And they started using it again. Before then, that's how they were getting things done. So I mean, honestly, if they bring if they end the filibuster, things are going to start getting done. And Republicans are really not going to like it, because that will likely mean that there will not be Republican leadership in the House or Senate for about 25 years, because that's what happened before. That's how come there wasn't Republican leadership for that near 40-year period.
Exactly.
Because there was no use of the filibuster.
No. And it's really important that we do get beyond it, because I had somebody say, well, then what happens when we get in and we want to filibuster? And I'm like, you have to be brave and you got to suck it up sometimes, because, I've had a few people pull the old Dixiecrats, you're still supporting the Dixiecrats. And I'm like, do not mail me letters that do not belong here, because they moved. Those Dixiecrats moved to the Republican Party. So don't be sending me those old ass letters to the wrong address, because it ain't in the Democratic Party anymore. We want to move
Those
forward. If
Republicans,
we
yep,
have to
and those
get rid,
Republicans
yeah,
that were with us, they moved
thank
over
you.
this way.
They
And those
did.
were
It's like
mostly,
what
and
we're
those are mostly Black people, because remember, Black people were essentially Republicans.
absolutely. My
Like people
family
were like,
was, and they moved
Martin
over.
Luther King was a Republican. He was until
Yeah, they showed their
un-
behinds and said, bye,
until
see ya. That's
until
it. It's like you've been
exactly.
divorced from somebody and somebody keeps calling you Mrs. So-and-so and you're not.
Mhm.
So that argument from other sides, give them that back to them. Like, there was a divorce. And if you're too stupid to understand a divorce, and you all got custody of your racists. So good luck with it. You got
Dixiecrats were not
custody of the
Democrats.
racists. Yeah.
Dixiecrats did not consider themselves Democrats.
No, they didn't. And I mean, let's not even try to get people educated on the Whig Party and that whole stuff. But what's really crazy is like Steve Schmidt from the Lincoln Project. We're definitely going to see something
Yep.
change in the Republican Party, and
Right.
it will no longer be. It'll be: are you the Republicans that were racist, or are you the Capitol
Mild racist.
storming insurrectionist racists,
Right.
Okay.
or are the
So
Q racists?
let's catch up a little bit here. Patrick is saying the filibuster was used to remove the Voting Rights Act from Johnson's civil rights bill. He also says Senator Storm Thurmond changed from Democrat to Republican because of his racist views.
Yes.
And before that, he was a Dixiecrat and ran as a Dixiecrat for president, which means he didn't run as a Democrat.
Right.
Let's be clear on that.
Exactly. A lot of people think
I actually knew Storm Thurmond's black daughter. Met her.
She wrote a great book. Great book.
Met her and did some work for her foundation that she had when she set it up in South Carolina, and I was living there.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see what we got next coming up on the hit parade tonight. 45-second impeachment.
Two.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Second impeachment.
Well, we've got a couple of weird things here. It's not just about the insurrection, which was heinous as well. We also have the phone calls to the different governors during the whole electoral process.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many damning things that he's done that I think that it's really important for, Kevin McCarthy put out some old sob thing today that it was everybody's fault of what happened. These guys, it actually made me laugh because Kevin McCarthy is coming undone. It was a book that I said, she's come undone. Kevin McCarthy's coming undone. Trying to backpedal on this. It's not, no, you were on the wrong side of history, Kevin McCarthy. And so is Ted Cruz. You all are insurrectionists and you do not need to be in our Senate any longer. Because if we do not get rid of these people, this is why this is so very important. The world is watching. I've said this before, the world is watching. This will affect all of our dealings going forward, how we handle our own dirt. If we do not handle it and sweep it clean, we will not have stable relationships in the Paris Climate Accord. It gives too many weaknesses. And if you want to even look at Sun Tzu Warrior, sometimes you're going to have to make an example out of every single bloody person that pulled this. And, on that is how Kim Jong-un rules so fiercely, is because even when his brother and his sister, for whatever reasons, I don't know, and I'm not supporting him on any level, but any country no one is above the law. I mean, they let one of the girls out who had Nancy Pelosi's laptop. A magistrate in Pennsylvania let her out. Why? Because she's a white girl. She was trying to sell a laptop to Russians. We've had enough. I've heard so much about Russia. I feel like, I don't ever want to hear anything about the country again. It's too much. But the fact that we do hear so much about it means that a little stupid girl of 22 years old had a connection in Russia. You tell me that the whole Russia thing was a hoax. It's been too accessible. It's definitely some espionage has been going on, and I do feel she should be locked up like everybody else. And their testimony is going to be key to the impeachment, because all the ones who are saying he invited them, blah, 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 he didn't give pardons to these people that he incited to go. And, they murdered a law enforcement officer. We have had people, isn't that what we've had issues in our Black Lives Matter thing? Even when the cop was totally guilty of doing something. And now they're going to throw him to the curb. This is not, who is this country? Because now this was white on white. And they got to deal with that. But let's see how white on white treats itself, because they were coming to kill Nancy Pelosi and Pence. There is nothing else you can say. But in the old days, I know what would have happened. And we all know what should have happened. But they must do their time. They have to.
Kevin McCarthy makes you long for the old days of John Boehner and his crying self in the House.
Know, right?
Because, Boehner wasn't any better as a Republican, but my goodness, he at least had some balls, even though he cried every day.
Right.
He cried at everything. But the most bizarre thing is, like, they're gonna really act like Trump didn't. But let's be clear. Trump could be a second article of impeachment could have been lobbied against him for that one phone call. Okay?
Yes.
The insurrection, the date of the insurrection was timed because he was trying to get that, not only because it was the day that they were doing that, it was for that, but also too, he hyped it up more because he was trying to get that phone call out of the news, because he knew that phone call could lead to impeachment.
Right.
Well, what about?
But I mean,
because the last phone call led to impeachment.
I mean, you're saying, with Kevin McCarthy saying that every one of us has a responsibility, and he's going to talk and reference what we put on social media. The leader of our country was tweeting crazy town stuff every single damn day.
And threatening people.
And then and then he wanted to cite Maxine Waters for the thing she said. He tried to get Maxine Waters killed. Yes, this is not the first time Trump has tried to incite any violence on our people. It's not the first time.
This was Lindsey Graham's address and phone number on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I live in California and will do everything in my power to make sure he never gets another seat in Congress, because there are too many of us now who, I have girlfriends in Orange County. They're quite popular. They know a lot of people, but he needs to go. He's not even reflecting the community there. Do you know how disgraceful Orange County is as a whole? When you look at it now, the whole world thinks it's a bunch of white, racist, blonde women. It's disgusting. It's really like, don't go to their beaches. They're racist. Don't do this. They don't. I mean, I've heard people talking. I've read it in German papers, take the piss out of American stuff every day now. But in a really kind of like, they've been there before. When you try to soak, it's like taking an old nasty tea bag and trying to get a decent cup of tea out of it again. That's what they've done to the psyche of this nation. And Kevin McCarthy needs to live with that. He is very responsible for the fall. America fell on its knees, hands and knees. And we do not need to hear the excuses of a Kevin McCarthy, an old Lindsey Graham. She needs to stop and just go let herself be herself. I don't know why she didn't come out of the closet ages ago, because she wouldn't be so compromised at the moment. I don't know what's going on, but I can tell you, these are people that have really inner crazy problems, and they are not capable mentally of running our country on any level. Because if it's so easy to compromise you and you have so little integrity, you do not deserve to be in office.
they're people that can easily be bought and paid for. And so we
They
have
are
to wonder, we really have to
weak.
be
They're
suspicious
weak
of
people. Weak.
everything that it's like, look, Lindsey Graham is literally a pancake. He's flopped so many times
He
in
does.
the
He's
last
horrible.
3 weeks. It is,
He's
it's like,
horrible.
it's like, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And
What is his purpose?
his
To lie.
purpose, let me tell you, at this point, he's not even representing the people of South Carolina
No,
anymore.
he's not.
He's literally just
He
there.
he tried to broker a deal with
Yeah, with
the lieutenant
Georgia.
governor. And let's not forget, while all of this was going on, there was breaking news, last night, that Trump, it's been revealed that they had gotten rid of our AG and they were ready to go after that one. And the only thing that stopped it was our Justice Department. Everybody said they would quit.
Yeah.
I mean, this was good. Don't tell me Lindsey Graham didn't know about that. Everybody's phones, all of their phone records need to be subpoenaed, and it just needs to be looked at because there's some criminal stuff that really went on. Lindsey Graham should not be sitting up here trying to defend stupid face, orange face. He needs to be defending himself because, as far as I'm concerned, he was in on he conspired. He was a co-conspirator to overturn the election, and so was Kevin McCarthy. They both did it. They literally, basically, were putting the heat on a lieutenant governor in Georgia. That's wrong. So, in my opinion, Lindsey gone. Who else is there? Kevin gone. Who's next in line? I don't want to spend another year thinking about these pieces of crap. I really don't. They have proven that they are traitors and they're self-serving and they're criminals and they're corrupt. And they can go and work with Trump and start their own party. That's what they can do. Okay? You love him so much, but you don't need your tentacles in our money, our treasury, our government, our legislation. You need to be gone.
I think one of the things that we're going to find out as the Biden administration gets really deep in the cut, like they get into the papers and in everything, is how deep Lindsey Graham had his hands all up in everything in that administration. Because
in Trump's backside.
there's something about Trump that Lindsey Graham is too close to, that he would stick his,
yeah, it's unnatural. It's
behind out there,
unnatural.
Yeah,
it's unnatural. I don't know what it is. Unnatural.
It's like because you know what? Everybody knows that Lindsey is hiding the obvious. Okay,
right.
Everybody knows this. It's an open secret.
But it wouldn't even matter.
The only person who thinks it's still a secret is Lindsey.
I know.
And so it's not that. It's something.
It's something he's done.
It's something he's
done. And it's got to be pretty damn bad, which makes me think
exactly.
You don't need to be there.
It's something like life in prison kind of dumb, like life in a men's prison kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's bad because this person has no integrity on any level. And the games that he plays, like at first he couldn't stand Trump, bloop-de-bloop-de-bloop. And then somebody showed up at Lindsey's house and said, here you go. Next thing you know, Lindsey's like, Trump's my favorite person in the world. That's too weird. And there's a problem there because even there's just something really nasty that went on. It's too obvious. I've never seen a greater villain even in a movie. I mean, really, he's that shady villain. He is a bad person and you know it. And whatever he did, it's clearly unforgivable to him. And maybe
you couldn't write a better mob story in a better nasty,
but that's what I'm saying. 45 is a gangster. He's a gangster. Come on now. You guys know that by now.
Yeah, we know that, but we also know that we have people in the House and in the Senate. They are as well, and they need to go. And the fact that they're putting up this fight, this flailing, sad, pathetic fight, and to be telling the rest of us that we need to watch what we say online. Let me tell you something. You dudes tried to steamroll all of us. You're lucky that's all. I mean, but let's be honest. They don't know their constituents either, because just as much as they flipped on them, and Kevin McCarthy thinks he's who's the one who was like, let's split the baby in half, the King Solomon. Kevin, you ain't no King Solomon. Trying to make it where we accept any kind of accountability for it. No, this was you're dirty, and you're trying to figure out how to get out of the muck and the mire. Yeah. But for some reason, somebody keeps calling them up and saying, I need you to tap dance some more. I need you to make yourself look like an all kind of fool and try to get out of this. They must serve time in jail. They must not be allowed to practice law anymore. And they have to be tried for treason and for insurrection, because they were willing. If that mob had have gotten a hold of Nancy Pelosi and Pence, they would have pulled them apart limb by limb. They didn't need guns. They didn't need guns. They were almost like cannibals. It was like a bunch of zombies coming after you.
Somebody said they looked like they were frothing at the mouth.
Yeah, there's a serious thing. I don't know if they've done some kind of hypnosis to these people, but they played the lowest common denominator of the game, and they got the result of a poorly played game that just went out of control. And so with the impeachment, it's very, very important that all of the things. I think they're gathering evidence. I think that these Q people are going to flip. They were incredibly disappointed online. Some of the white supremacists have said they didn't need Trump. They don't need him. He's a traitor.
Parler's back online, so they're also going to get other additional information that way too.
Who's online?
Parler is back online.
Oh, well, that's another thing. It's just, it's really a sad day when people want to go there and commune with each other and just say the most heinous garbage. But it'll have its day too, because when the regulations come more, particularly what just happened with TikTok, this is going to be something they're all going to have to start looking at, because it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I think that at least for this part with the and I saw Ted Lieu last night talking about how they're going to present it. One of the tough things that they do face is that the jurors were all witnesses and victims. So will they be able to call them as witnesses?
They can call me up as a juror, and you.
The jurors have to be the rules say that the jurors have to be the Senate, but they can call us.
They might have to expand on that. They can call. Really, but you mean to tell me
February 8th, I will make an appointment to be there?
You mean to tell me that I'm in a group of people and somebody tries to come and kill us, and I can't be judging that? I know what happened, and I know they're all a bunch of double talking, snaky attorneys, and that needs to calm down too, because attorneys lie. That's what their job is, to be born liars and to.
You ever see that movie Liar, Liar?
Yeah, and it's to misshape the truth. It's to present it in a different light. Done with that. I know what we saw. The American people saw it, and hey, maybe they should do it like, let's vote on it. Let's call in. I think he's guilty.
They've got video of Trump from every angle, every TV network of him, the words he said.
Even if they don't get him on that, they will be able to find out. I heard that they do have actual text from whoever it was who was communicating with one of the Proud Boys and gave directions to where Nancy Pelosi was. That they do have. They have not said who that person is, but there is somebody. And I feel that Nancy's super confident about that part of it and throwing out those Q girls and whatever. I just get a vibe that she already knows, and they know.
Speaking of those two Q girls, one of them filed impeachment papers against Joe Biden.
I know.
on day one.
So calling Georgia's Dango is saying, real Dango, calling Georgia's Secretary of State to find him votes was the dumbest thing 45 could do. He showed how desperate 45 was. He needs to be erased from presidential history.
That needs to stick, because that for me is one of the, it's an impeachable offense. And, you know, I do feel like the one thing that they need is for people to be able to start nudging forward and coming out with their stories. But I do believe that, you know, Trump may have put hits out on people. I mean, it's not beneath him. At this point, I wouldn't put anything. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think if people are afraid of these insurrectionists, they said they were afraid for their lives. I think this isn't the first time they've been afraid for their lives.
And Patrick Reed says blue lives didn't matter on January 6th.
Not at all. Not at all. Hey, is that our Patrick Reed who recovered from COVID? It is. I think so. Nice to see you, Patrick.
If it is Patrick, yes, do shout it out and tell us if it is Patrick. We're very happy if it is.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to close up this edition. The Capitol riot aftermath that's still going on. Yeah. And for those people who do not know, a little interesting development happened today that a gentleman who was arrested was tweeted about assassinating Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So this is a nonstop. This is just getting deeper and deeper. Now, so here's a question I have for both you ladies. Will anyone who's, other than that, it was the guy from West Virginia, some sort of guy who resigned from his office. Do you feel any other politicians will be found out involved?
They found 20.
What?
They found 20.
Oh, wow.
20 different state elected politicians.
They did. Yeah.
There we go. And just to hail up, it is Patrick. Yes, thank you, Patrick.
Glad to have you back,
Patrick. See you back.
Patrick. Yes.
He's back. Thank you. That is fantastic.
Bless you. God bless you.
That is fantastic. So they still keep on arresting people?
Yeah. But here's the thing. They keep letting them go.
Yeah.
They arrest them, they bond them out, or they release them into the custody of another adult as if they're children, and they let them go.
It's
However,
really
Black people suspected of lesser offenses, like maybe passing a counterfeit $20 bill, though they might not even know if it is counterfeit or not, get the death penalty by police.
Exactly. Or a woman who sends her child to this nearby school and she's living out of her car, they gave her 5 years in prison.
Or a woman who voted twice and did not know that she was still on another voter roll in a different state gets 5 years.
Or a kid in New York gets alleged that he stole a backpack. He goes to Rikers, can't get out, stays there for 5 years, finally exonerated for the crime after 5 years. Poor guy comes out, he's been traumatized, God knows what happened in Rikers, then he goes and kills himself.
Yeah.
At 23 years old.
Like right now, I'm seeing from this story, there's at least 119 people facing federal charges in connection with crimes. So let's.
How many thousand did you see out there?
Exactly.
I know.
And they're bragging about their 100.
Okay, so let's ask a question. We don't know how many are going to be charged in total. Do you think that even 30% of them will spend time in jail, like permanent, like get charged and spend jail time?
Well, they're federal crimes, so yeah.
But it depends on who the judges are. Remember, Trump put in
all his judges. Yeah, he's got all his, there you go.
That's where I think they're getting the payback. You see, it wasn't a pardon, but they're getting the payback, the washing of it by the judges. And I think the judges need to be looked into, because this is actually an opportunity to go in and get rid of them, because they have lifetime appointments.
But Trump put in the federal judges, but they also face state charges as well.
Right. I just think that the
So
judges,
they'll probably get the state crimes.
I still
sure.
think that the new Justice Department should be able to oversee this. I know it's a lot, but they must oversee the judges. They have to be accountable and answer to people, because we've now exposed this country for its white systemic racism having never gone away, never, that it's always been there. Now it's time to eradicate it, get the raid out, spray it, and move
Get
on.
the raid.
Because they're all a bunch of fucking cockroaches. These people are cockroaches to me.
So, Jill, so now what I'm going to do is for the next episode, I'm going to bring a can of Raid. And when you say, Dr. Vibe, please spray, I'll just
Yes. They are cockroaches to me. Kevin McCarthy, Lindsey Graham. I think a cockroach has, and they act like it because, cockroaches are real clever about how to try to stay alive. So when you get that opportunity to stomp on them, you better stomp. You don't sit back and go.
I almost feel like running to my get some with a can right now and bring it out. That was magical. You know what? Maybe Jill, you know what? Maybe Jill, we may need to start a segment, the cockroach of the week.
Oh yes, we can do that. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so folks,
this week though is Rand Paul. Easily.
Okay, go ahead.
The cockroach of this week is Rand Paul for pointing out in Joe Biden's inaugural speech how he talked about white supremacists and said he called us all white supremacists. A hit dog hollers.
I know.
You felt that he was talking about you. That he was talking about you. It's like, wait, where did you? How did you get that?
Jill Jones, you've done it again. You see what you've done, Jill Jones? Like, but I think that's good. We're gonna end. So, folks, you heard it. So we always try to do something like here's something we're going forward. Starting next conversation, we're gonna end it off with a cockroach of the week.
Yes, we gotta. It's going to be hard to pick the top one, right?
Well, oh my gosh, that's priceless. Oh, I wipe my eyes. I laugh so hard.
A hit dog hollers, Rand Paul for sure.
Rand Paul folks. Rand Paul is the first cockroach of the week.
Yes,
on Staggers State of Things. Honor. Look at it. People are loving it. Real dango la cucaracha, Rand Paul.
Yes.
So true.
Next week we need to have an effect of a little cockroach running across.
Yeah, it's true. Oh God.
Oh.
And I still feel like I'm insulting cockroaches. Isn't that crazy? Because they're even lower than cockroaches.
So this is good. So folks too, going forward, we'll have a lower third for it. The cockroach of the week.
Yes.
So folks, I think that brings the end to a very, as always, entertaining Stagger State of Things. Cockroaches and all.
Yes, the new administration.
Yeah. My God.
Oh my goodness. Oh well, folks, we're having fun. And thank you for watching live with us. So as always, we love it when the ladies come on and share seriousness. And I think things will be a little less high tension for the next little while. So because there wasn't a lot of laughing that was going on in the past, but maybe it's, and as Real Django, LOL.
Yeah.
Chill. Okay, so let's make it happen. So, Jill Jones, as always, thank you for taking the time to hang out and introducing a brand new segment to Stagger State of Things. If people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
I'm at Jill D. Jones, Twitter, and Jill Jones Music on Facebook and also Twitter.
All right, fantastic.
Oh no, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Twitter is Bill D. Jones. Sorry.
All right. Aisha Staggers.
You can find me at
Still
Aisha.
laughing about this.
Me too.
Great.
At Aisha
Sorry,
Staggers.
Aisha.
Capital AISHA, capital STAGGERS on Twitter.
Oh my gosh. And I'm with tear waters in my eyes. I am Dr. Vibe, the host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, the host of Epic Conversations 2020 award winner in the best podcast news category, in 2018 winner in the innovation category given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, once a month, I host Conversations for Dads and Fathers, the only one in the world that's sponsored by Dove Men Care and also co-sponsored by Dad Central. If you want to get a hold of me, the best place is the website address you're seeing right on your screen. drvibeshow.com. And I got some comments here. Real Dangle says, great show. It wasn't my show. It was the Raid show tonight. It's not my show, man. It's a great show, all of us. I do not take credit. It's done together. And also LinkedIn. I will put my LinkedIn. I think I have it here. I think actually I don't. So next time I will put my LinkedIn contact information up. So sorry about that. As always, I like to end off my conversations with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. In regards to LinkedIn, if you want to catch me on LinkedIn, just put the Dr. Vibeshow, the Dr. Vibe Show. That's what I am on LinkedIn. Finally, love, respect, faith, and also finally remember to give yourself grace. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And I'm going to go find my kind of raid, everybody. Bye-bye.